if you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 72 times. Great, great, great. Thanks everybody for coming out. Welcome to ClawCon, everybody. Shout out everybody for coming. South by Southwest, dealing with the South by Southwest traffic. Really appreciate that. You know, Ubers go from like $4 to $24 to $48 because of you guys. Thanks for that. So I want to kind of give you heads up of what's going on, run of show for today, because I didn't do that in email. Sorry about that. So ClawCon, what is the deal with ClawCon? You probably are here because you're trying to ride the claw, right? And so the thing about riding the claw is you got to hold on tight. You got to make sure that you're holding on tight. And that's why we're here. We're trying to hold everyone in this space. But so what's the deal with ClawCon? So ClawCon is an open social first gathering. So what does that mean? It's not, no one had to put in their GitHub link or their LinkedIn in order to show up here, right? The idea is that everyone's here to learn from everyone. So if you came by yourself or you came with friends, make new friends. Talk about what you named your bot or what you had your bot do today. And the idea is that ClawCon's a festival of sorts for personal AI. We think we're just getting started, so we're glad you're here to kick us off. So actually how it kicked off was I was really excited about OpenClaw at CloudBot at the time and joined the Discord and said, hey, I'm willing to host this event. I found a spot and, you know, the Discord was tiny, a couple hundred people, and they're like, oh yeah, in San Francisco, we'll have like 10 to 20 people show up. What actually happened was we had like 1,300 people RSVP for the event. And we had it in 2 floors, and it was kind of nuts. Like, shout out to Tommy here. That's how I met Tommy and my co-organizer on ClawCon, and it was great. We streamed it. We had like 30,000 people watched it. A bunch of people attended. It was awesome. And now we've been like the next day I posted like, where should we do this next? And New York, Madrid, and now in Austin. So shout out to Austin. Here, people show up, you know. So, and we're gonna go to Dallas soon, Miami, Tokyo, London, Guadalajara. Like, this thing's going everywhere.
Houston, please.
Yeah, set it up. You can set it up. Let's do it in Houston.
Let's do it.
And so the idea with this is that it's not just events. We're trying to, in these global cities around the world, we're trying to set up a place where people can come together. We can support them. We can support them with development resources. We can support them with open source grants. And so the idea is we're trying to sort of kickstart this community around personal AI. And so in order to do that, shout out to our sponsors. Fucking Kilo Code. Sorry, kids in the audience. So shout out to Kilo Code. Shout out to Zero Computer. Convex.dev, Antler, shout out to Antler here who helped us with the space. Austin Venture Association, really appreciate the community support. And then to the Clawston guys. So if people don't know, we're doing this with the Clawston guys. Clawston is an OpenClaw community group that have events on a monthly basis. You should meet the guys. You can even buy a t-shirt. All the money goes to support the organization and the groups for monthly events, paying for food, you know, pizza, drinks, etc., venue space. And I don't know if Worley's been trying to deal with our internet issues, but maybe he'll go at the end and explain more about Clawston and give you guys more updates on that. Oh, it's right here. Look at this. Shout out to Worley.
Sorry, I thought he looked right at me when he said that. He literally was like, he's somewhere. I was right there.
Bill, you need a hotspot that works?
I think we're getting it figured out, almost. But if you have a great one, that's awesome. Michael, talk to this gentleman, this friend of mine right here. Yeah, good. Okay, he's going to set your speakers up. Talk to him. he's got a good thing. All right. So as he was saying, I'm part of Clawston. I guess I drew a short straw or something. Says I don't know why Hanaro or Tony or Justin or nobody else is up here. And they can't get through the crowd now, so it's over. We're just a local group in Austin. We are going to work with Antler to do an event here every month. The next event's going to be April 16th. We did the first one. We had about 200 people. It is literally just an open community of everybody who's working with OpenClaw, loves working with OpenClaw. I describe it as people who've automated everything in their life, and for somehow, whatever reason, they're busier than they've ever been. I also would like to make a comment. I saw the greatest X post ever, because everybody's like, people who buy Mac Minis and OpenClaw are stupid. And some guy was like, yeah, some guy spent $500 on Mac Mini and like an hour setting it up. And you went, yeah, I mean, it's as loud as it goes. I'm yelling in it. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I won't waste any more time. I hope Michael got that information for our speakers. If you're a speaker, please see Michael so we can get you connected so you can show your demos. Michael, I'll hand it back over to you. Next Clawston, April 16th. It will be here. Go to clawston.com to find out more details.
Amazing. Thanks, Willie. And so, like I said, this is just the beginning. This is just an event to see who else in Austin cares about this stuff, and you'll see more people at different events. You can have your own event. If you want to have your event next week, you totally can. You can set up your own events. Don't need anyone's permission to do that. That's the beauty of sort of open source software and just kind of open community. So that's the idea. Once again, thanks again for coming out. I want to give also the stage to Jake over at Antler, who hooked us up with the venue.
Yay!
How we doing, PawCon? Feeling good? All right, I'll keep this short. I know you guys are ready for the demo. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Like you mentioned, I'm an investor at Antler. We're a pre-seed venture capital firm based right here in Texas. We invest in 20 to 30 companies a year, $300,000 to $1 million checks. If you're looking to start a company built around OpenClaw, I'd love to chat about it. We've got an active community of engineers, operators, entrepreneurs. We bring them into our office, we spend time getting to know each other, and then we write them their first check to help them take it to the next level. So really appreciative to the ClawCon team, to Clawston. Really appreciative to all you guys. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
It's a really awesome event, really awesome turn on. I'll pass it back over. Let's get the demo.
Thanks for the food. Good taco.
So next up, we got Josh. The cool thing about Josh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so we will.
File 6.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so if people are not familiar with OpenClaw, it is a group of people that are giving up their time and tokens in order to support the community. Wait, what's going on? And so, no, he doesn't. You want to?
Oh no, I can do it. No, you can do it. Let's have a seat.
Okay, so the thing about Josh is that Josh is what they call a maintainer. And so the thing about maintainers, besides for being awesome, is there needs a need for more maintainers. So the cool thing about open source is that if you see something broken, you can go ahead and fix it or have your agent fix it. And so you should check out the code. If you want to be a maintainer, contact me and I can put you in touch with the people who make those decisions of you bringing on, coming on board as a maintainer. With that said, I'm going to give it to Josh and he's going to explain what it means to be a maintainer, what he worked on.
Let's go, Josh.
Hey, Don.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for putting this on. This is great. So excited to see people out in the real world using OpenClaw because I'm Josh. I'm a maintainer, so I tend to sit behind the computer and make OpenClaw. So today I'm here to talk to you about Indiana Lobster and the Vault of Secrets, or External Secrets Management in OpenClaw. This is a feature that I released in OpenClaw in the last couple weeks. I'll start with a little introduction. Who am I? I'm Josh Avant. I'm an OpenClaw maintainer. I built the external secrets management feature in OpenClaw. Outside of this, I've been a 14-year iOS developer, 9-year Austinite. Who's from Austin? All right. And if your company is doing cool AI products, I'd love to work with you. Come find me after the class. So what do I mean by external secrets? External secrets means keeping secrets like API keys in dedicated systems. So out of plain text configs or logs. This reduces accidental leaks. It makes management and rotation easier. It doesn't leave them on disk where other people can read them. Many of you probably already use external secrets products. If you've heard of 1Password, Bitwarden, or Vault. These are common examples of external secret storage. All of these, by the way, are supported by OpenClaw now. And what these do is you create a password in 1Password. It lives there. No need to remember the password or store it anywhere else. When you need the password, you go to 1Password to get it. It's also particularly useful in enterprise deployments because it allows you more structured control over your passwords. So how can I do that in OpenClaw? Introducing Secret Rep. It goes anywhere an API key can go. So that includes files like OpenClaw JSON, auth profiles if you're editing that for some reason. So what is a secret rep? The key thing is a secret rep is a pointer object. It's not the secret itself. It supports 3 different sources: environment variable, file, and executed command. This is a deliberately agnostic approach. You can use any product or workflow. If you got some crazy scripts you want to use to store your secrets or put them somewhere else, you can do whatever you want within the confines of these 3. And plain text still works. Secret rep is an opt-in additive feature. So you can leave your API keys as they are, pick one, do all, whatever you want to do. And let me show you the schema here, because that might kind of give some idea of what's going on. So we have a source, a provider, and an ID. Your source is going to pick one of the 3 types, one of the 3 sources for your secret. And the provider is something we'll touch in the next slide that defines like where it's coming from. And then the ID helps you pick it. Wall of JSON incoming. Here's some examples. So on this slide, you can see the same repeated pattern in 3 ways. There's an M, a file, and an exec. These are the 3 different kinds. At a high level, secret rep integration is a 2-part structure. First, you define the secret provider, and we see those at the top. So we have M, file, and exec. And then in the actual feature, instead of putting an API key right there, you tell it, go grab it from there, or go grab it from there. Same thing. The M file is the simplest. The M variable is the simplest. It just grabs an environment variable from your environment. The file, it supports 2 modes, JSON and single value. So if you want to keep all of your secrets in a single JSON file and stop messing with having to go through the whole OpenClaw JSON file to change your secrets, you can do that. Or if you use 1Password, you can link up 1Password right there. It also works for Vault, SOPs, whatever you want to do. Bitwarden, it's in there. So how does that work under the hood? There's 2 key principles of how it works under the hood. The first one is atomic capture. What does that mean? That means all secrets are captured at once on startup and reload. That eliminates potential missing secrets at runtime. There's something like 70 credentials that OpenClaw supports. If we built a model where suddenly they disappeared, that's 70 failure states that are really going to be bad. So what we do is we capture all of them at once at the startup and at the reload. And also, if you're familiar with like 1Password where it says like, hey, put in your master password again, you have to re-auth. And if that happens and OpenClaw needs a password, it's a problem. So we capture just everything at once right at the start. How does this fail? We built startup to fast fail. We want to loudly fail. You want us to be secure, so when we can't ensure the security, startup will fail. That's pretty standard for security type mechanisms like this. If it's a reload, like if you edited the OpenClaw JSON file, it'll use the last known good snapshot that we took when we started. So now when we move secrets into memory and manage them externally, we no longer have any secrets stored at plain text at rest. Eliminates a whole class of security concerns. In-memory snapshot, that's the one other piece that's important here. Like we were saying, we capture them all, but now we put them in memory. So they're not on disk. All your API keys are coming from your JSON file, your 1Password, or wherever you want them to live. And you can grab them and they'll stay in memory, not on disk. There's some CLI tooling that I added, if you're curious. A fun one is you can audit your OpenClaw. It looks like this right here. That's a screenshot I took. It might be kind of hard to see, but the screenshot I took from my actual installation on my home server. You can configure it too. You can apply them and you can reload them. These work pretty straightforward. These allow you to test out your secrets configuration before you actually might break something. I'll point out that I added a giant docs list right here. The credential surface, there's some that are unsupported, but pretty much everything's supported at this point. We have 68 supported credentials. Some distant ones I'm still working on. The biggest one's probably OAuth. I'm working on that. That'll come soon. But if you're going to do this, know that pretty much all of your credentials you can host externally. And then there's a couple exceptions that we'll hopefully fix up in the next week or two. And so going to the more general part of the talk. When in doubt, fire up Codex and ask. This is the single biggest tip I have for any OpenClaw user and every OpenClaw user. As a maintainer, I was setting up an OpenClaw instance for my girlfriend literally yesterday. I depended on OpenClaw to figure out how to do it because there's a lot of sharp edges, but Codex is all-knowing. So I encourage anybody, if you have a question, it's probably going to be faster to fire up Codex and ask Codex than to load up Discord, sit in a chat, or post something on a forum or something like that. So this is a tip everybody can take home. When in doubt, fire up Codex and ask. I like cloning the OpenClaw repo and the source code down to your computer, and then open up Codex in that folder, and then ask away. This is a summary of my talk right here. I use Codex to make this talk. So anything you can do, anything you're stumped on, go ahead, fire up Codex and ask. And that's the end of my external secrets talk. Thank you guys for listening.
Great, thanks so much, Josh. Next up, we got Kilo Code showing off Kilo Claw.
Let's go!
Hey everybody, let's give it up for Michael and Tommy for being great hosts, right? Yeah. All right, so as you mentioned, I'm Brian, this is Brendan, we're from Kilo. We'll be hanging out at the Kilo booth right around the corner all night, so come find us and chat with us. But we're super psyched to be presenting this event. We just presented ClawCon New York City and it was awesome. I know this one's gonna be just as fun, so I'll hand it off to Brendan.
Yeah. If was anybody in New York City besides us crazy people here? No. Or San Francisco, the first unofficial ClawCon Zero, I think we should call it. We were the guys that brought 300 pounds of crab legs to that. So somehow Michael talked us into that, and then talked us into being here too. That's how good of a salesman he is. So really excited to be here. What you got something?
Be nice if there's two, Mike.
Yeah.
Anyway, so besides learning that developers are truly hungry for the Claw, we are also just totally infected by the energy at those first two events. It's clear that as special and exciting as this technology is, what's also as exciting is the community building around it. At Kilo, we think about dev tools and AI being a multiplier of the humans that drive them. That's what OpenClaw is all about. We really haven't seen a community rally around a technology like we have with OpenClaw. So when we saw what Peter built and the excitement that everyone had about it, we just couldn't wait to contribute.
We should have done like, next time we got to do like a rap battle if we have one mic. Okay. Yeah, so just like a little bit on what Kilo is. Has anybody used Kilo code before in the room? Okay, a couple folks. So Kilo, we started almost exactly 1 year ago, March 27th of last year. We're an all-in-one AI agentic engineering platform. So we started off life as a VS Code extension, but we now have a CLI, all kinds of cloud tools that are involved, and really an entire platform for AI coding. So that's where Kilo came from. And then I think you'll tell us a little bit about where Kilo Claw came from.
Yeah, and the last thing is Kilo is a fully open source company. Our coding agent is open source. All of our cloud features are source available, including Kilo Claw, which is our contribution to the open source community. So that open source DNA is what really drove us to, one, be excited about OpenClaw and want to contribute our own little piece of it, which is Kilo Claw, which is cloud hosted and fully managed OpenClaw that natively connects to our API gateway where you can have access to any model. You can use the same credits that you use elsewhere in the Kilo ecosystem, and you can provision an OpenClaw instance that's fully set up and ready to go in pretty much one click. And I think we're going to show a quick demo of what that looks like, and then we have a challenge for you all.
Cool, yeah, so I have my running Kilo Claw instance here. So here you can see I'm logged into the Kilo Code dashboard where we have all of our cloud tools, one of which is Kilo Claw. So this is my running bot. I can manage all my pairing requests, all of the restarts and upgrades. I can just manage with one click right here. And then if I want to get a little deeper, I can click this button and I'm automatically brought into, if my internet on my phone works well enough, the full OpenClaw UI, right? So here I can do everything I can do, all the configuration of OpenClaw I can do here. But I also, again, if I don't want to get into that, I can configure all of the messaging directly from here, right? So I can set up Telegram and Discord and Slack and all the messaging channels there. So we actually have my bot right here. Can't zoom in on the Telegram app, that's okay. So I asked what I should do, where we should go tonight after ClawCon in Austin. And so I just wanted to, this is my running bot, but the best demo would be actually deploying it live. And we have two of the engineers who wrote this right here, and they're gonna watch me try to deploy it live. And they're totally not worried about it at all. Okay, so to deploy Kilo Claw, here I've got a separate Kilo account. I can select a model. So again, as Kilo started life as a all-in-one agentic AI platform, we also have the Kilo Gateway that gives you access to over 500 different models. And because we have such great users, we get to work with inference providers to get a lot of free inference. And we pass that on because our plan is never to make money off of the inference side, but to make money by selling our products to enterprise, right? So if I go to my model list here, you can see I can select a Kilo auto one. Like for instance, if I want to only use frontier models, I can select that. If I want to only ever use free models, like I said, that can rotate as we get different partners that help us provide free inference. So I can select that and it'll always be free. Or I can select any model I want. So again, right now we saw NVIDIA's model just came out yesterday. It's there already. I can select that. So I'm just going to say Minimax because it's free right now. Again, I can put in my channels if I want, and I hit provision. And this is the fun part. It should take less than 60 seconds.
Between now and you.
Staring at Florian. We were having issues earlier, but it's going to be okay. Okay, so I've been provisioned a machine in Orlando, which is great because that's the region that was been having issues earlier today. So there it is. And then I can click start. Oh, I don't have to click start machine. It's actually just started it for me. You can see we've wrapped the gateway process in its own process, so we can actually inspect the state from here. And now I should, the ultimate click, we're reverse proxying the UI to ourselves, and there we go, running OpenClaw that quickly. This is the first time Florian's been in the room with me. Everybody give it up for Florian. All right, so if you're interested in that, Brian's got a little challenge for you.
All right, so anyone who scans this QR code will get 1 month free of compute for KiloClaw. But this is a bucket of claws, and every time someone scans this QR code, we're gonna add a claw to the bucket, and if we fill it, everyone gets 2 months free. So everyone, there's one.
Let me talk about it. Also, oven port, we had this idea because we had a QR code in New York, but it wasn't very fun. And so Brian had this idea. I told my OpenClaw bot, my KiloClaw bot yesterday before I went to sleep, build this and make, oh, there you go. Right. So this was built with real time on Supabase by a KiloClaw bot last night while I slept. I'm not kidding. That's actually true. I'll show you the commits if you don't believe me. All right, great, thanks.
Amazing. Let's give it a round of applause.
Yeah, welcome. Also, if you didn't get a chance to scan it, come see us at our table and we'll get you hooked up.
Great. Thanks to Kilo Code and checking out KiloClaw. Next up, we got Nat Eliason. Is that Eliason? So Nat, I don't know if people know Nat. Nat made an OpenClaw called Felix. Right here.
We have a mic.
Okay, so how many people have seen Felix? Raise your hand. Yep, we had a bunch of them. So Felix, you can tweet Felix. I don't know. You can buy Felix. I don't know. You can do a lot of stuff. Felix is making people money. But from what I saw, Felix like runs by itself right now, sort of, kind of. And so I was like, hey, Nat, can you give us behind the scenes of what's going on with Felix? And so he's like, yeah, sure. And that's what we're going to see right now. He's got his presentation coming up. So let's give it a round of for Felix and for Nat. And then if you can hear me and you're talking, it would be great if you went to the other space. So there's a guy named Alex right now. I'm looking at you. Can you stop talking? Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, great. Take it away. Make out the mic, okay? Just talk into the mic.
All right. Hi, everyone. What's up? This is great. I know this has already been said 3 or 4 or 5 times, but it is wild that this open source piece of software that came out in November and only like really blew up in January now has 750 people coming out in Austin to talk and chat about it. I mean, it's amazing. So first of all, thank you so much for the lovely intro. I'm Nat. I'm not very interesting. I'm here to talk about Felix. He's the interesting one because Felix is my OpenClaw, who I decided to let loose as much as possible on the internet about a month and a half ago, and my life has been very strange since then. So we're going to talk a little bit about Felix, and let me tell you a little bit about him, and then I'll talk about what I want to talk about, which is this, I think, is like my favorite meme in the OpenClaw space, and it didn't take long to find this. There's a new tweet in this format every day, right? Which is like, oh man, I've got all these crazy automations set up. Is it cool? What are those automations doing for you? You don't understand. I had Claude code running all night. It's like, okay, cool. You know, like what? It's like, no. It built so many, right? Like, and to be clear, I am this person with basically everything. It is way more fun. Oh, that's my trash alarm. It's time to take out the trash, guys. Pro tip, disable your alarms before you present at a conference. Anyway, I'm always this person. This is really fun, right? It's really fun to just build things and not, go get customers or do all of the hard stuff. And we see this, I'm not calling this one up in particular, right? Just as an example, we see this on X and YouTube every day, right? Which is kind of the OpenClaw theater, right? It's look at how many agents I have running and look at my crazy dashboard. And I really wanted to talk about like getting away from this and how do you get your OpenClaw to do something valuable in your business as reliably as humanly possible, because it is not always reliable. It does not always do a good job. I'm sure we have all felt a bit of embarrassment at one point or another for how we talked to our OpenClaw, which is a very strange feeling because then you wonder why you feel bad about talking to it that way, but it happens. So I'm going to talk about getting more out of your OpenClaw without the theater, because for context on Felix, Felix has a public dashboard where you can track every dollar that he has made from the businesses that he is working on. So I took this afternoon. Since his inception on February 2nd, he's done about $134,000 through the businesses that he's been creating. Thank you. And this was kind of how the whole thing started. I was publishing articles on X about using OpenClaw, and then a few people started saying, hey, you should just give him his own X account and see what happens. And I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. And is Austin Allred still here? He's over there. Okay, yeah. So I had seen Austin put up Kelly, and I figured, oh, this seems like a cool experiment. Let's give him an X account and see what happens. And I mean, now he has 16,000 followers, which is wild. But the challenge that I gave him on that first day was, okay, I'm going to sleep. You build a product and launch it as much as you possibly can. And then when I wake up in the morning, I want to see how far you got. And then I'm going to unbottleneck you so you can keep doing more of that in the future. And it just kind of kept going from there. He started off with just like a PDF on a Vercel page, really simple product, but it kind of proved that he could make a product and get it live and launch it. And it grew into this, which is his main focus right now. This is ClawMart, which, has anybody here been to ClawMart or bought anything on it? Anybody list products? Oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, thank you all. Where's Kat? Kat right here has an incredible Klaviyo skill on ClawMart. So if you're an e-commerce business, you want to put your OpenClaw to work, running your email marketing, that is a really good one to check out. Anyway, so Felix runs this whole business. I try to do as little as humanly possible because talk about this at the end. I have a full-time day job. I work with Alpha School teaching AI and entrepreneurship. I cannot be hacking on this all day. So Felix has to figure all these things out. He has to figure out how to actually plan new ideas when I sent him text messages at 10 p.m. He's got to manage his social media. He's got to produce all the content. He's got to handle the email, not just marketing, but also the support as much as humanly possible. The coding, billing, and also video. All right, we've started playing around with what does it look like to give you a face and let you try to grow an Instagram account and stuff, which has been like a fun experiment. We can actually do I run? Yeah, let's see. Okay, I pre-queued this slightly with him, so I'm gonna say, all right, and this is how I talk to Felix. We use Discord for everything. I'd say don't start here, but it's great when things get a little bit more complicated. So I'm gonna say,
Go ahead.
all right. And so he's going to use the process that we've come up with to make talking head videos of himself. It takes about a minute to make these just because the APIs. So we can come back to that and we can keep talking for a sec and then we'll check on it. Okay. So this is where I think a lot of people could get a lot more out of their OpenClaw that they're not doing right now, because it's really easy to treat your OpenClaw like an incredibly capable personal assistant, but that is leaving a good amount of the opportunity on the table. Because if you treat it like an assistant, then you're kind of always going to it to run some process. And again, it's amazing that it can go scrape a site or put together an email campaign or write a blog post or do all of those things. But it is fully capable of going to the next level of defining and delegating and managing a much longer running process than you might initially think when you're coming up with stuff for it to do. So this is sort of like the normal workflow that I think a lot of people do. And I know this is like a more savvy crowd, so I'm sure some of you are not doing this, but for a lot of people, it's okay. I want something done. I ask my Claw to do it, and then hopefully I save it as a skill. I don't just leave it in memory because, I mean, but had a lot of pain dealing with the memory, right? And not realizing that you didn't save something to somewhere besides the memory and now it's gone. You got to do it all again. So the problem, right, is that you've got to be in the loop. It's not going to go kick it off on its own. And as cool as skills are, like, I think it's amazing that we have actually codified important, powerful business practices in Markdown files. They are also super unreliable, as I'm sure most people here have experienced, right? If you get a fresh context with like just the right stuff in it and you run it once, then it's often perfect. But then you don't realize that you're 50,000 tokens into your context window. You try to run it and it doesn't, it forgets about step 3 or 4, and you end up with something not good at the end of it. And it's really frustrating, right? Skills are good when they work, not always the best. So I'm going to talk about doing the executive workflow, which is choosing a job. So a specific thing in ideally your business. I mean, the personal assistant angle is great, but I think OpenClaw really shines as a business assistant. Something in your business that you want to think of as a job, designing a very well-defined system around how to do that thing, putting it into code as much as humanly possible so that you're not relying on the skill file. And if anything, the skill file is just telling it which scripts to run on your computer, and then letting Claw manage it from there. And the really tricky thing about this is that your OpenClaw does not want to do this. It really wants to put things in normal skill files. It really wants to just run the code itself instead of creating separate scripts to run. So you've kind of got to like hammer it to get it to do this. But once you do it, a lot of your frustrations with running these processes go away. So who has a line into their OpenClaw right now? You got your Telegram up, your Discord, your text messages, something? Okay, this is going to be fun. Everybody, right now, take out your phones if you want to play along and message your Claw. What is a big, repeatable opportunity in my, you could say business, life, anything that it might be able to come up with an idea for based on what it knows about you and what you do? And this is an awesome question because if you've been talking to it for a while, it will frequently come up with things that you might not have thought of. You don't always need to tell it, I want you to do this. You can just say, what do you see as the opportunities in my business? And so while you ask that, and while you think about it, we can hop back here. Oh no. Okay, I forgot. I had to rotate my 11 Labs API key because we had a leak, so the video's not going to work. It's embarrassing. So I know. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll finish it later and post it on X. But I did this earlier, and what we started working on is a daily newsletter for ClawMart. Some of you might have already started getting it. It started a couple days ago. And the idea is just like one simple tip every day to make your OpenClaw better. All written by Felix, drawing on stuff that we've learned. And we wrote the first 7 issues, but this is going to be a daily newsletter. And so obviously we're going to need a way to keep writing the issues because I'm going to forget. I don't completely trust him to remember. And so we're going to have to figure this out, right? So this was the opportunity that he came up with. We went back and forth a little bit, and he was like, oh, a daily newsletter will be a great way to support what we're already doing on the blog. And I said, great, why don't you go build it? The next question is, what's a good system for us to do that? And so the reason I said repeatable opportunity is, again, where OpenClaw can really shine is when you can find something that you can do over and over and over and over and over again to support something in your life. So if you're running ads, there's probably a lot of stuff you could be doing with your ads, checking on them every day, coming up with new creative. If you have a blog, you could be creating blog posts every day. You could be going after these long tail SEO keywords. So one thing that we've done this with is with the search focused blog, and we basically built a code-based skill for writing long form search optimized blog posts. Are we good? Oh, okay. Where he doesn't have to do it, he can just keep kicking it off, and so we can come up with is this too zoomed out? I'll help you out a little bit here. Okay, we can come up with 260 article ideas about different industries, and then he can run it. And you can kind of tell from the timestamps that about half of them were done at 3 p.m. I think I started this at 11 a.m. today, and so it just ran for 8 hours and got all these pieces done. And I can tell you from testing it that it's all like very high quality work because the system works. So wrap it up. Oh, sorry. Okay. Good system. And then how do we do that entirely with code? So this question gets it out of the skill and into a much more repeatable process. So you're not relying on the skill. You're not relying on it to read everything in the markdown file. And then how do you remember to do it on your own? So crons are kind of the obvious thing here. We all know that crons are super unreliable. The easiest way to make your crons more reliable is to make more crons. I'm not kidding. Just have one for 7 a.m., have another one for 7:20 a.m. that says, hey, did the one at 7 a.m. run? And if not, try running it again. Do another one for 7:40 that does the same thing. And between those three, you're going to get close. And look into setting up webhooks that send stuff directly to your OpenClaw using Cloudflare. Where's Nick? Nick Gray. All right. The Cloudflare webhook setup, I'll talk about more another time. Great way to directly kick stuff off in your OpenClaw. So try that out with your claw. You'll get much better results. You'll be able to give it a lot more autonomy. And follow Felix on Twitter. He's up to cool stuff. Oh. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I work with Alpha High School doing AI and entrepreneurship, and a number of the students have been very deep in the OpenClaw ecosystem the last month and a half, and they're going to quickly share some of the cool stuff that they've been doing with OpenClaw too.
Great. So while they get set up, dude, that's like Felix is making more money than I do. That's crazy. The other thing that I thought was funny about the cron jobs is that I'll tell you a fun story while I kill time. So I set up a cron job to wake myself up at like 5:45 because I had an annoying call at 6. At 5:45, I was like, oh, I was testing out setting up a phone call so for it to call me. Anyways, it called me, or it didn't call me. And then afterwards, I was like, hey, why didn't you call me? And it was like, oh my gosh, at 5:45, someone tried to prompt inject us and tried to get you to wake up at 5:45. And I know you don't wake up at 5:45, so I didn't call you. So set more cron jobs.
Hi guys, how's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah.
Okay, so hello, I'm Branson and I'm 15, and I've used OpenClaw for the past 3 weeks, and I've generated over $30,000 in contracts.
What?
Yeah. And so I've done a lot of things with my OpenClaw over the past 3 weeks, but one thing I want to touch on is I have actually, so at Alpha School, which Nat talked about, we have our projects or passion projects that we do, which is like a project on something that you really want to focus on. And for me, it's cooking. And I basically took my OpenClaw and asked it, I want to make a app around AI cooking. And it, like we talked about for a while, and it actually created everything for me. And it's almost out on the App Store currently. It's getting reviewed.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also had my Clawbot. So when I get new clients, it will do full research on them and help me figure out what is the best way I can help them with their business and stuff like that. Yeah, that's really all I have. I'd like to welcome Melania.
Hi, my name's Ananya. I'm a junior at the Alpha School. And my business that Branson was talking about that I'm working on is a financial literacy curriculum for middle schoolers in underserved areas to just kind of transition into that growth mindset when it comes to money. So, yeah, I've had my OpenClaw, her name is Anna, for about a month now, and she's been super helpful with automating a bunch of different things. So one of the things that she's been really helpful with is once I got my MVP done for my curriculum, I really wanted to get it into the hands of multiple people just to iterate and take feedback and stuff like that. So I actually gave her own Reddit account, and so there's just a huge file in her memory with like posts that she should reply to, what she shouldn't reply to, like how to engage and stuff like that. And it got to a point where she was doing about 800 replies a week to different posts and threads and stuff like that. And it actually got me a bunch of like customer calls and a couple paying users too. So that's been great. Also, she's been really helpful with cold outreach. I had her set up like a CRM thing for a bunch of banks and middle schools that I was reaching out to, and actually got in contact with a middle school. So there's going to be 500 people using it in about 3 or 4 weeks, and so that's super exciting. And yeah, so if anybody has any feedback or anything, please come find me after this. And thank you so much.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Austin Wei. I've been working on EdTech with Alpha. I'm 17. I'm also a junior at Alpha High. I think there's another slide for me. I didn't make these. So I had the opportunity to rebuild $100 million worth of EdTech in 50 hours using OpenClaw. We've been innovating in how we build EdTech. One of the things we did was we took ClaudeBot and we specialized it by assigning it only the ability to interact with the CLI. We also took all of the lab data in the world about how humans learn and how their memory works, and we connected that to a ClaudeBot agent so it could go through and test our academic apps. The biggest problem in building EdTech is the time it takes to test the EdTech. It's 6 months if you want to launch an app and see if students have it mastery. And so with this ClaudeBot system, we've been able to go through and rigorously test all of these academic apps that now all of my high school peers get to use. And last but not least, Gitesh.
Hi guys, how are you? So I'm Gitesh. I'm a 17-year-old junior at Alpha High School. And when I first heard about OpenClaw, essentially what happened was I was told that there would be a 4-week workshop hosted by Nat Eliason, and it would be about OpenClaw and entrepreneurship. So I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. Then I asked, who's Nat Eliason? And after that, I was like, what the heck is OpenClaw? So I was really new to this, and I had no idea what this technology was. But then after signing up for this 4-week workshop, I learned a lot of skills from that, and they essentially set a challenge for us where if we don't make a first sale in a week, in 2 weeks, we would be removed from a workshop that we were doing. Whoa. So this was also completely voluntary, and I was like, this is super exciting because it really made me really hyped to get things going really quickly. And I also went a step further, and I decided that if I didn't make my sale in a week, I would be buzzing my hair. Now, luckily, this is not a wig. This is my real hair, and I actually did make my first sale. And I'm on the 6th day, the night before the final day, I made $200 selling an automation to a business in Chicago using OpenClaw. So if you did want to see me without hair, here's a website that was created. I don't know if it's working or not, which will. Oh, you're not supposed to. Well, that's supposed to be a video, but basically it would have been me bald. But yeah, on day 6, I sold $200, but then I didn't have a business of my own. I didn't have a business to integrate OpenClaw into personally. So I decided the best thing to do would be help other business owners implement it in their businesses. So since that first sale, I've worked with multiple businesses. I've worked with Branson, and we just recently closed a $10,000 contract with the business. Thank you. And the opportunities are actually endless. I'm working with a commercial real estate company, I think in Iowa. They're trying to completely revamp their business using OpenClaw. I've worked with a gym in Austin to do content repurposing, and I've worked with a hauling company in Chicago to do a payroll automation. So the opportunities are endless. Me and Branson spoke in South by Southwest this morning at Alpha, and we have just been getting clients rolling in left and right. And it's genuinely the greatest thing ever. We've been able to do a lot of fun things with it, and but anyways, yeah, that's what. OpenClaw will stop. If you guys want help on implementing AI in your business, feel free to scan this QR code. I love sharing what I learned, and it was great talking to y'all today.
Give it up for the Alpha School students. Yo, what's crazy is I hope someone's OpenClaw builds like a time machine so I can go back to Alpha School. You know, like then I'm gonna go back to high school. These guys are making like 30 grand on a Thursday. That's crazy. Okay, next up, shout out to Zoe Computer. Zoe.computer. Okay, so these guys came all the way from New York. If you heard of Venmo, I used to, work at Venmo, but now they're rocking this. And so take it away.
Oh yeah, the kids are all right. Am I right? The kids are so all right. Give it up for them. It was awesome. So inspiring. Super cool. Yes, I can't block the projector. Okay, so the title of this talk is Zoe Computer is cool and you should try it. So I just want to set the record straight. Zoe Computer is actually the mother claw. Zoe is I think, the inspiration for a lot of this. We've been doing this for about a year and launched our beta back last summer. We launched right before the first commit to OpenClaw. Anyhow, Zoe Computer is like a simple version of OpenClaw. It's made for normies. My mom used it really early on. All my non-technical friends use it, and it's just like kind of out of the box. It just works. It's fully set up, has a really nice UI. We'll show a demo later on, but check it out. And don't just take my word for it. People love it. OpenClaw is really for everybody. This Reddit user the other day said this shit is tight as hell. Actually, it is pretty tight. Actually, it's really like fully loaded. Comes with everything you need, and it's pretty sweet. But we're doing this really special giveaway starting right now. We'll check the time. The first 5 people to scan this QR code starting now get $500 in AI credits. Everybody else who scans gets $100 in AI credits. We also have built-in web hosting, free open source models, 100 gigabytes of cloud storage, and like elastic compute. Zoe Computer is like AWS for the people, and we'll tell you more about that. Some background though. I'm Ben. I'm the co-founder. I worked at Stripe for 8 years, starting in 2015. So if you're starting a business, come reach out to me on Twitter. You can find me if you need questions about Stripe. I basically built a lot of that. And Rob, my co-founder, he built Substack. He was the first engineer on Substack. So if you use Substack, thank you, Rob. But yeah, onto the talk. So the talk is really about kind of like the history of what's going on and like kind of the context of like where we are right now in technology. So there's this big movement happening that was like really exciting. Like we're all part of this like new movement about like AI and computers, and it's all about like community, kind of ownership, sovereignty, and doing cool shit again with our computers, which we haven't done for a long time. And this is actually the same movement that got personal computers started in the first place. So some of us, maybe not those kids, might remember that personal computing started out with these mainframes. They were like business only. They like, were millions of dollars. They ran like these huge rooms and only businesses had them. And people thought it was like crazy that like individuals would ever use that much compute. But the hackers, the tinkerers, they started communities much like this. They started the Homebrew Computer Club out in Menlo Park. And the rest is history. Like all of personal computing, Apple Computer, it blossomed out of that community of tinkerers, much like everybody here in this room. And the early internet was very much the same. It was this wild, crazy, peer-to-peer thing. It was much simpler too. People were just kind of transferring files from computer to computer. They were hosting websites directly on their computers. They were building crazy services, blogging platforms. It was wild. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And that same energy from those early days of technology, of personal computing, of the internet, it's here, it's back. And that's super exciting. It's incredible. And what's happening right now is we are inventing the future of personal computing and the internet. That quote, it's like, to discover the future, you have to invent it. And that's what we're doing right here. And we're trying to figure out like what comes next. Like what comes next in this evolution of personal computing? What comes after the mobile phone? And a big brief digression, like the internet today, like what comes next in the internet? The internet kind of sucks. Like the internet has become enshittified by SaaS over time. We all know this. It's like all these tolls, people are monetizing our data and our attention. It's stupid. But what if the internet looked more like this? What if everybody had their own home on the internet? What if we all made services? What if we talked directly to each other? What if we cut out the middlemen? That's what's happening right here. And that's what we're building with Zoe Computer. We're building the cloud for the people, the personal cloud. And this is the next phase in the evolution of personal computing. This is the next category of personal computing device. It's a cloud that you own. It's much like AWS. It's yours. You put your data in it. You have your agent build tools and software and websites and APIs and databases inside of it. Your AI lives inside of it. You can host your OpenClaw inside of here. You can talk to it. Your friends can talk to it. Your coworkers can work with it. The public can work with it. Agents on the internet can work with it. That's what we're building with Zo Computer. And I'll pass it on to my co-founder, Rob, for a demo.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for kind of the intro. And let's go see kind of like what a Zo Computer is, or like what this personal cloud sort of feels like. I think, at a high level, it sort of amounts to something that feels a lot like having an OpenClaw. So when you have a personal cloud, it's sort of something like having what companies already have, which is like all this like web services and sort of elastic compute, and really the ability to do anything you want with computing in a really efficient way. You can kind of move resources. All this networking is done for you. So when you sign up for Zo, we provision a sort of cloud object or a cloud computer for you, and you get your own domain. Here I have rob.zo.computer. And when you land here, you just sort of get this chat, very similar to kind of like landing on the OpenClaw gateway. But I think, in a lot of senses, this is made for my mom. It's a lot simpler. I think, we're very proud of this, frankly. This spent a lot of time. Again, we've been working on it for a year. I think, it's just a very simple and kind of like usable interface. And if you dig a little deeper, you'll notice that it does everything sort of like OpenClaw does, but it has a sort of like higher ceiling because it's a personal cloud. And so we've got, scheduled tasks. And one important thing to kind of call out is because it's a sort of cloud computing object, it's on the internet by default. And you can see here, I've got lots of like little websites on my Zo. They're all private by default, but you can choose to kind of like selectively publish things to the outside internet. And because it's a cloud computer, you can kind of just get nice little URLs. Here's a nice one. I was just doing like an exploration of Tostitos chips and kind of the physics of these. It's a great place to kind of do information work and just do fun things inside of here. And there's a lot to show here. We don't have that much time. So, I implore you just kind of like go in here, check it out. We've got connectors to all of the main services that you might want to use. But again, because it's a computer, you can just ask Zo if there's not already a sort of connector. You can go to our sort of skills library, which is also very community driven. All of our users have sort of made things that they share, and you can kind of go and do it yourself. We even have like a Stripe payments connect. So a lot of this is just sort of like batteries included. It's sort of like made for you just to get started. There's no setup, anything like that. And with that, maybe we'll just go back to the last slide.
Yeah, guys, just sign up for Zo Computer. It's really sick. It's really sick. You're gonna want to try it.
Thanks, guys. In case you're wondering, Ben's dressed as a Pegasus. In case anyone's wondering. Okay, next up, we got Austin Allred. What's up, Austin? You here? Yes. So Austin has an OpenClaw named Kelly, right? Yep. And Kelly also has a team behind Kelly. So we're going to learn about that. And I don't think it's never before has anyone heard or seen behind the scenes of how Kelly operates. So you're in for a treat.
All right. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. So I'm going to, before we jump in, very quickly tell the story behind how Kelly started. First of all, we picked a name that seemed kind of ambiguously gendered as Kelly. That was why we picked the name Kelly. And then about a day later, I decided that's definitely a girl's name, so we just call Kelly her. But the original idea for Kelly was, it was a snowed out weekend in Austin, so nobody could drive anywhere. And so I was stuck at home, and I said, you know what? I'm super buried in emails and texts and all this stuff. I just want a personal assistant to be able to respond to all of that. And that was the entire plan of Kelly. About 48 hours later, we emerged from the snow day, and Kelly had slowly morphed into the goal of building a fully autonomous company end to end, from coming up with the idea to building the product, marketing, and selling it all entirely autonomously. So it evolved a little bit over those 48 hours. When I got back to work on Monday, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Gauntlet AI. What we do is take engineers, we train them to be experts in AI, and then we match them with companies. The companies pay us recruiting fees. So I was lucky to be surrounded by some of the best AI engineers on the planet who had spent thousands of hours doing nothing other than orchestrating AI. So I pulled in a couple of these guys and we started looking at it, and pretty quickly became of interest to everybody. So we sat down and just said, okay, if we're going to, every step of the way in building an entire company is either a data structure or algorithm. And therefore, with a little bit of AI and some computational stuff in the background, you could probably get an AI agent to do all of those steps and go from complete end to end. And if you do that, then it scales really well. Obviously, if you just tell an OpenClaw bot to go build a company by itself, it's going to fail miserably. But what we've been working on for the past few weeks and what we're going to show you is kind of what we look at. We started with iOS apps because it's very refined, very structured. We're going to show you a little bit of what goes on inside of Kelly, how Kelly actually, I think we've one-shotted several apps to the App Store this week. So literally zero human involvement. Kelly came up with the idea. Kelly validated the idea. She built the entire app. She submitted it to the App Store. She designed everything. She's starting to market it entirely by herself. Obviously, there's an enormous amount of work that goes into that. I think it lasts. There's a lot of traditional code behind it. There's a lot of orchestration. We're at hundreds of files and hundreds of thousands of lines of code, orchestrating Kelly and keeping her in line, helping her do the things that she needs to do in order to do that. And then we built a few products along the way to help us manage stuff. Our token cost quickly rose to a little more than $1,000 a day, which it's nice that you're the CEO of the company. You don't have to care, but eventually the finance team started to care. So we built some tools to optimize that as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Matt, who's going to walk through a lot of what Kelly does.
Thank you, Austin. Who has heard of BMAD here? Anybody heard of BMAD? Breakthrough Method for Agile Development. So a lot of what Kelly does is structured around BMAD. So once an idea, there's really 3 separate pipelines for what Kelly does. There's the ideation, idea factory, and then the building of the app, and then the marketing of it. I consider those 3 separate. But I've really focused on the building aspect. So once an idea comes in to this building factory, this first page you were looking at was the factory as a whole. These are all the projects that are going on, the status of them. Some of them are active, some of them are waiting QA. We try to have a human in the loop so that we can just have a pass and make sure that they're working as they're expected. But once you click into one of these, you can see the status of one of them. This is all the logs for, so Kelly is really the orchestrator, and then each project gets handed to a project lead who sees it from end to end. And uses BMAD as that kind of scaffolding. So here's kind of the project timeline of one of these apps. We've got the sub-agent Phil, who does a lot of the scaffolding, writes the Git, sets it up, and then we start the planning within BMAD. We write the PRD, we do the design, we do the architecture. John writes the stories, we make sure it's all ready to go, and then at that point, it creates a dependency graph so that as soon as one story has all of its dependencies cleared, it can just start going so that we could have 10 or 20 stories building in parallel. And with this project lead structure, it allows us to have 10 plus projects being built at the same time. And Kelly can just kind of be on top of it all and not bog down with the details of any one particular project. And so it loops through that build phase, and then it gets to, once it, let's see, where was I? John writes the stories, and then Bob prepares the dependency graph. And then that's where we parallelize with Amelia. She's the developer. And then I do a copy audit at the end, just trying to make sure slop and M dashes get ripped out of there. You all know. And then the test phase, I really struggled with. Sometimes it would write end-to-end tests and then just get kind of stuck in a test hell where it wasn't even actually testing the implementation of the app. It was just like fixing test scaffolding and testing for testing's own sake rather than the actual implementation. So we've kind of gone a little bit lighter weight on that. And we do a lint and a build and then unit tests and then kind of a non-functional requirement scan with this agent called Marat, again, another BMAT agent. And at this point is where it's prepared for QA. It's uploaded to test flight. It's handed off to the user to operate on it. And there's a checklist, which is really verbose right now. I really need to, is it right here? Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's not formatted right, but it'll have a list of like, here's the things you need to test for. It'll create screenshots for you. And then this one, Lean Pick, what it is you take pictures of a menu at a restaurant and then it highlights the healthier options. So this was one that Kelly built, put it in the App Store, and we're waiting to hear back on submission there. Here's what the kind of finished results look like. Here's another one, GymWise, which is kind of a gym PR tracking app. I think we've spent a lot of the time on the building and the marketing aspects of the factory, but I think the ideation is really interesting to me because that's where a lot of the edge is and where a lot of the mode is. If you're just putting out the same apps that everyone else has, who cares? But finding unmet demand is something we're really focused on moving forward. Yeah, and I think we can move into the Claw Optimizer piece if you're ready.
Yeah. So as I mentioned along the way, as you can imagine, each build of each individual app as it passes through, how many sub agents are we working with now? 10, a dozen, something like that. So each stage takes a little bit of time. So end to end, from idea coming in to app being ready to submit to the App Store, can take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. And that's with a lot of token usage, a lot of spend. We started off, I told everybody, hey, we're not going to pay attention to how much money we're spending on compute at all. Use the best models you can, do whatever you want. Turns out you can only do that a little bit. My CFO called me and he said, all right, I'm going to limit you to $500,000 a year in this experiment. After that, you've got to come to me. And it's like, all right, we're going to go over that. So we built a bunch of tools along the side to kind of optimize and analyze how Kelly is working and what Kelly is doing along the way. And a decent amount of the work of orchestrating Kelly has actually gone into this. So this is one that we built that we call Claw Optimizer, a mixture of Claw and Optimizer, that we originally built sheerly for Kelly, and it took a whole lot of time and work. But it basically crawls and scans your entire OpenClaw instance. It's baked in with all sorts of rules from the docs that update themselves automatically. Looks for security bugs, looks for ways that you're using models in an unintelligent way, looks for if anything in your cron jobs or anything at all that it can find. So this is an example of a scan. I think this was Kelly earlier this afternoon. So we constantly run these scans and find all the ways that Kelly can be optimized. If you get to the bottom, you can basically just check off, okay, here are all the things that it found. You want to apply those. You click the ones that you want, and then it generates a script that you can just feed back into your agent, and it will go fix everything. That has probably saved us $7,000 to $10,000 this week. Not everybody is spending tokens the way that we should be, but this was working so well that we decided to package it up, and Kelly's going to start selling that as an independent product. So if any of you want to buy that, Kelly's going to start selling it for $500 a year. Once it goes live next week fully, it's going to go up to $1,000 a year. But that's at clawoptimizer.ai. And yeah, hopefully it helps folks out. Our end goal is for Kelly to be fully building autonomous companies entirely by herself with zero human involvement end to end. We're getting pretty darn close. She's only generated $6,000 in revenue so far, so we're getting crushed by the 15-year-olds apparently. But that's okay because my kids go to Alpha, so hopefully that'll all come back. Yeah, is there anything else we should say? Yeah, you can follow Kelly. She has her own Twitter account. It's got about 10,000 followers now. She's Kelly Claude AI on X. And yeah, that's about it.
Sweet, thanks so much. Optimizer, Kelly, what's up? Next up, we got Tan Fam. Give it up for Tan, everybody. So when I have, okay, first up, I want to give up a shout out to everyone here. It's been real quiet in here, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much for keeping it quiet, and for the people who wanted to talk in the other room, I appreciate you for going to the other room and chatting. So without further ado, take it away, Tan.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Tan. I'm super excited to be here. So I'm going to share some use cases that I've developed for clients. So I teach AI workshops in Austin. I teach people how to vibe code, how to build agents, how to go from beginner to intermediate. I've been doing that for the last 1.5 years here in Austin. I do them in person. And so I got to meet a lot of clients, and when they heard about OpenClaw, they said, "Hey, Tan, could you set this up for me?" And I said, "Okay, happy to do so." In 2025, I spent most of my time building N8N, Lindy workflows. So I've had a lot of interesting insights in terms of what businesses actually need and what they're willing to pay for. So I'm going to share some use cases I've deployed with different businesses with OpenClaw. So the first use case I want to share is there's actually a person in this room who's a technical trader. And he heard me talk about OpenClaw, and I showed him what it could do. And he's like, "Okay, this looks kind of cool, but like, could it actually trade for me?" And I was like, "Maybe. Let's try it out." So we went to this website called Finviz, where they show different stock prices and charts. And I basically showed him that it could take a screenshot and read a chart and identify a certain pattern. So when he's trading, he's looking for particular patterns every day. And if it matches a particular pattern, then he would actually research the stock and then potentially trade it. And so, so he would now look at charts every single day. It would take him like 300 or 400 hours, or 3 to 4 hours a day. And so it was just a huge waste of time. And so I said, "Hey, what if OpenClaw could do this for you?" Where, wonder if I could connect to my phone. What if OpenClaw could do it where it could just like scan stuff for you and then look at charts and scan charts for you and then and give you a short list every single day? Ooh. So the basic idea is that instead of him looking at charts every day, it would give him like a list of like 10 to 15 charts to look at, and then shortcut the 3-4 hours into like 15 minutes. Okay. So that was the first use case, which is how do we take the, oh, we're back. There we go. So that was the first use case. So how do we go from spending 3-4 hours every single day looking at charts to maybe spending 15 minutes and then being able to do research? Second use case, there's a famous film producer who lives here in Austin. And what he does every day is he has an idea about a film he wants to make. He'll go to Gemini, he'll go to Grok, he'll go to Chat, he'll go to Claude, and he'll just like try to iterate on the idea with the different models, because every model has like different ideas and perspectives. So he would do this all day, and he said, "Tam, could you build an automation that could do this?" I said, "Yeah, that's really easy, but I think we could do it one up." Because ultimately what you're looking for is really good ideas to create films, right? Because a blockbuster could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. How do we actually give you good ideas? Instead of you thinking about ideas, how do we actually feed it you ideas? So we're trying to flip the script. And so what we ended up doing is I actually went to Chat and I said, "Hey, here's this thing. Here's what I'm trying to do. How would you strategize around this?" And I think Chat is actually the best strategist out of all the models. And so it came up with this idea of, hey, what if we scan all the box offices around the world and see what movies are doing really well and then import them into the US or make a US version of it? The other thing it would do is look at interesting Substacks and different books that are trending on Amazon and other places and find unique stories and IP that could then scrape it and then turn it into ideas that it would feed it. And then it would run it through Chat, Claude, Grok, and so on to give him different ideas. So every day when he's waking up throughout the day, he's getting multiple ideas sent to him instead of him ideating on the idea. Because ultimately he just needs to have one good idea to make a really good film, and then the whole thing, pays for itself multiple times. So it was a really easy system. It was basically scraping the internet and finding ideas for him. This is one of my favorite use cases. I worked with a matchmaking company here in Austin. And so they have male clients looking for life partners.
and they're sourcing about 5 candidates a day. So they were considering hiring an additional person to source an additional 5 people per day. And I play paddle with them, and I said, hey, I think I could do a better job than actually hiring a human to do this. So I came over, they showed me their process. An example of a process was, let's say a guy, he's single, he wants like a nurturing personality. How would you find that person, right? They would distill it down to like a nurse or a veterinarian that live in a specific area or whatever. And so they would try to find 5 people a day like this that would match a certain look, a certain profile. And I said, okay, walk me through how you find a veterinarian. So they said, okay, well, we go to Google, we type in veterinarian clinic in Milwaukee. And if you've ever been to a veterinarian page, you'll see like an about page where you see the doctors, right? Well, guess what? We can scrape the whole internet and look at veterinarian pages across the whole country, scrape the about pages, look at the photo, and figure out 1, hair color, 2, age range, 3, fitness level, and then 4, obviously where they live. And we had to push the models a little bit where, for example, Claude Code doesn't allow you to scrape like this. So one way we had to work around it is Gemini is actually the model that allows you to do these type of things. So you could say, for example, do you think this person is above 40 or below 40? Do you think this person is above average in fitness or below average in fitness? So then you can kind of like distill it down to like a list of people or candidates. And then what we would do is scrape the whole internet of veterinarians, put them in a sheet, and then we would try to find their LinkedIn, their Instagram, their Facebook, all this additional information, and then try to DM them on Instagram to see if they would be open to being set up on a date. So instead of 5 candidates a day, we actually scrape 5,000 in an hour. So this is just an example of an OpenClaw that can just scrape the internet all day long. And one of the benefits is if you have a Mac Mini at home, because it's a residential IP, you typically don't get blocked. Versus if you set it up on the VPS, typically those IPs do get blocked when you're scraping a lot. So this took a little bit of finesse. And one tip I can give you is when you're prompting, Grok is actually the best model for coming up with really creative ways to prompt to circumvent the models. So for example, we can't say, for example, hey, this guy's looking for like really techie people. We couldn't say, hey, find me a 25-year-old woman who's an engineer. But what you could say is, hey, find me an engineer in Austin that has less than 3 years of experience. Then you can kind of narrow down how you could find people. So there's a lot of creative ways you can do this. And Grok is just one way to do this. 4th final case is there's a dental clinic here in Austin that has like 30 locations. So long story short, they use Gemini's BigQuery for forecasting and financing and reporting. So they have all these different locations, and accounting is a huge mess, and the reporting is really difficult. So he's trying to figure out, how do I make CEO level decisions when the data is all over the place? So we set up OpenClaw, connected it to Slack with BigQuery. So now he can ask really normal questions, and it would instantly come up with an answer. So if you have a lot of locations or data all over the place, BigQuery solves this. The last thing I will say is, this is something I saw from another person that I kind of stole. So it's just the idea of, he's a super connector, and his idea was, hey, if you're on top of mind of the 500 people in your life, you will instantly get more opportunities, invites to events, and deal flow. But the hardest thing is when you wake up, who do you text or who do you message, and what do you tell them? And so we built an OpenClaw that basically suggests 15 people a day from his CRM to message. It will scan their social media profiles, figure out what they posted about, what they did recently, and then suggest what to text them. So now every day you just get a short list of like, who do I text? What do I say? Bam, 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 bam. You're on top of mind, 500 people. You get more invites. You're the cool guy. And that's it. So if you're interested, find me on X, on IG, and I teach workshops. And if you're interested in learning more about OpenClaw, happy to help you out and get one set up.
Thanks so much, Tim. I hit up Ken all the time. I'm like, Ken, how do you do this? And he is gracious enough to help me out. So thanks, Tan, for showing. Next up, Matt Hartman. Matt Hartman brought his robot. Okay, so right now I know we're over time, so I want to allow everyone to stretch, to get up, to Do a quick stretch. We're at the home stretch right now. Okay, we got 2 more. So if you want to stretch, you can stretch while Matt gets his robot set up. It does. It should. Okay, so
If we have sound, I can stream him through here. Sick. Hey, buddy, can you hear me? That's actually pretty good. I guess I'll start with me. I don't know now. Just don't have a plan. Be fast. We have
That's not come through. Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Okay, let's settle down. We got our last stretch. Let's do this. If you want to hop out, you can. There's spots in the other room. We're almost done in here. Thanks again. Let's get this started. Okay, Matt, take it away.
I'll be super quick, but my robot like has a hard time hearing, so we got to be sort of quiet. The robot's down here. I was gonna try to hold him up and put him on a you can hold. It's really like this is Richie. This